So, welcome to the Karthik Gurunathan show, Mattias.
Mattias, yes, sir.
Wow, very excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, we had Austin about 1 week ago. That was very interesting, man. That was very interesting. And he's given me a few talking points with you as well. He's told me what you don't like, what you're uncomfortable with. So, we will definitely question you on that.
All right.
So, tell me more about yourself. So, you were born in Texas, right?
Yes, that's correct.
How was that like?
So, growing up in Dallas, I wasn't really in the city. I was more in the suburb area. So, not a lot of similarities between Texas and Pennsylvania if you're talking about like structure of neighborhoods and stuff like that. We had a pretty like square block structure of residential houses, and growing up 45 minutes outside of the city, so there was like mini cities around that were kind of like State College with strip malls and stuff like that. But
I see.
Most of it's connected by these big major highways, 5-6 lane highways, and that's something you don't really see up here a lot. So
you don't see Boosies as well, right?
See what?
You don't see Boosies as well, right?
Boosies?
Yeah.
Like Boosie Badass, like the Louisiana rapper?
No, it's actually Buckeyes, right? The Buces. Bucky's.
Yeah.
I like to call it Boosies because it's such a sort of confusing pronunciation, right?
Yeah, Bucky's. Yeah, it's a gas station. For those who don't know, Bucky's is a gas station that's got probably about 100 pumps, and then inside of the Bucky's is a restaurant, a convenience store, and then a whole grocery store in there.
And then they have that beaver store, right? Where you can buy like these small beaver toys and things like that.
And then they have gift shop for just this gas station.
Dude,
it's wild.
That's insane. That's a Texan institution, right?
It is. Yeah.
Wow, okay. And you had these small state college like neighborhoods, and you grew up in one of the suburbs outside of Dallas.
Yeah, that's correct.
Nice. So have you been to other parts of Texas? So Texas is huge.
It's giant. It is giant. I've been down to the Gulf area in Corpus Christi. I've been down to Houston, the Johnson Space Center, if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
I've been down to Austin once for a football game when I was like 12, 13 years old. I spent a lot of time in South Texas growing up. The summer times I would go to summer camp down in what's called Hunt, Texas. Which is about an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours south of San Antonio. So it's in what we call hill country. And a lot of rural area down there. If you're thinking about like Texas Cowboys, that's where they are, is down south, and then out west by the El Paso area. But a lot of time growing up, I spent in Hunt, Texas for summer camp. I would do a month there, and it was great experiences there. Did a lot of horseback riding. That's where I started learning to shoot rifles. I think I was like 8 years old doing that.
Wow, that's
bow and arrow, swimming, canoeing, kayaking, fishing, man, anything you can think of, they had it there.
All the outdoorsy stuff, is it?
So we do a month there. No AC, and I remember so vividly. You'd be out there in the summer, 100 degrees beating on you. It would rain probably once a month. And that time of year. And I remember getting in the car. My parents would pick me up with the AC cranked up, and you just like sit back, and you almost get like AC sickness because it's such a different change in temperature.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like 30 days of waiting for AC, right?
Yeah, you're outside and in a cabin that maybe has a fan going, so you're used to like 85, 95 degrees, and then you get into a car that's 60 degrees, and it's like there's nothing like it.
That almost sounds like a Navy SEAL training, right?
Not quite. Not quite. But it's as a kid, man, it's crazy getting into that car, and I remember having like very vivid memories, like sitting in the car and just like melting into the seat, like the sweat's just like going away, and you almost get cold. You almost start shivering because you're used to like it's been 100 degrees for a month, and you're sitting in a car that's 60 degrees. It's pretty crazy.
That's very interesting. And you, is that how you started bodybuilding?
No, so bodybuilding started for me in high school. So growing up, I played a lot of sports. I played football, basketball, but I was always I'm young for my age group. So I turned 21 after my junior year in college.
Got it.
A lot of people turn 21 during the junior year.
Got it.
But growing up, I was always a younger kid in my class, so I was always a little bit behind physically, like talking about like sports and stuff like that. So I didn't play a whole lot of football when I got older. So I decided once I got into 10th grade, I was going to switch gears. So I played football up until 10th grade. It's from kindergarten to 10th grade, played football. Wow. And then...
Wait, one sec. Oh my God. When you say football, I'm so...
American football.
Yeah, exactly. So when you say football, I keep thinking it's soccer. So it takes me a lot of time to understand, okay, if
American
it's football, if it's actual football, I mean, American football, it's very difficult. You need to have a lot of physical strength and things like that, right? Yeah. That's not the same makeup you have with soccer,
no.
Right?
Well, it depends on what position you're playing, but most of the times, American football, you need to be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger.
Okay.
Soccer, is what I call it, but international football, you can get away with just being quick and agile. Yeah. You don't really need to have a big frame and all that stuff.
Which is why I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so that's pretty much, so you started getting into this whole football frenzy, and that's how you pivoted towards bodybuilding.
Yeah, so after 10th grade, I did some intermediate lifting when I was in high school, nothing really crazy, but after that 10th grade, after football season was over, it took me to the summer of before my junior year of high school, and I got a gym membership at a 24-hour fitness. Okay. And the deal with my parents was, because I wasn't very active at the time, they said, because my dad is a pilot, so he flies around a lot. Oh. And he says a typical hotel gym costs him $5 to enter. The membership was $40. He said, if you go to the gym 8 days a month, that would be your $40, and we'll pay for it. Okay. If you don't, then you're going to have to pay us $40. Okay, fair. And deal, I remember like 2 or 3 weeks, I had the membership. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't feel like going. Oh, damn. And then it got to the last week. And I had to go 8 times in the last week. Oh, I see. And then you ended up getting the $40 from your parents. I ended up making, in those 7 days I went every single day, and on the last day I went twice. Oh, to make sure I got and they were like, all right, because I didn't have a car, so they were dropping me off, so they knew when I was going. Oh, very smart. Okay. Yeah, so I ended up, and then after that, but all it took me was that week. Okay. That week of going like every single day, and I fell in love with it. Like I don't know. A lot of people take 2, 3, 4 weeks to like get a rhythm to get into it. It took me a week of like real consistent training, and at that time it was just like chest and arms, chest, arms, and back. Just like bro lifting, throwing dumbbells around, like not really caring. Okay. And nobody comes in and corrects your form and things like that. No, because you're a 15-year-old kid at the neighborhood gym. People are just kind of like watching you throw around dumbbells and. But yeah, after that week, super insecure. It was. I had to go with a lot of my friends at that time, so it would be like 2 or 3 of us, and I was able to convince my basketball friends that I was going to play basketball, and then I would take them to the weight section, and they'd be like, "Yo, what are we doing?" I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna lift first, and then we'll go play basketball." Okay. And they were fine with that as well, right? They were fine with that until they caught on 2 days later, and then I had to get my other friends to come lift with me. I had to convince them to lift, but okay. So you were not a solo lifter at that point? No, not at first. I was usually 2 or 3 friends with me. Okay. So that those memes of like the high school kids and like a group of 4 around the bench. Yeah, that was me back in the day. Oh, I see. Looking back, it's funny because I see it now and I'm like, I get annoyed by it, but I'm like, I was in their same shoes, so I get it. I see. But that's where the spark kind of started, was that summer. Honestly, it sort of inspires me more than it annoys me. I feel like these kids, I've seen one thing in America in the last 20 years, post this sort of obesity pandemic sort of going through, right? People in America have become a little more sort of cognizant about lifting and staying fit and things like that, right? Yeah. Especially the 15 to 25, in that age group. I feel like a lot of people have sort of proactively decided to go to the gym and things like that. That's actually very nice. That's a very encouraging vibe, right? I think it is. I think it's also the obesity epidemic we're seeing in the States it boils down to activity and diet. And thankfully, there's starting to be a shift in the population to want to work out more. The problem that I see is this shift to work out is it's skewed.
Okay.
They're not really looking to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
So I think a lot of these young kids, and it's really dangerous in the younger age group because their minds are so easily influenced. I mean, I know I was that age at one time. It's real easy to pick up on stuff that, looks nice and encouraging. I love how bodybuilding is inspiring people to get in the gym. But I think a lot of these young kids, they're looking up to these idols that have physiques of 15, 20 years in the gym, exogenous hormones that aren't necessarily very healthy. And you got kids taking SARMs and, hormones after a year of lifting and really not helping their health, in that group, at least. And then another problem that I see is our food. In the States, there's a push for trends. The population.
Sorry, what?
A push for trends.
Trends. Okay.
Trends. So a lot. No, not trend. Trends. So I think a lot of people, when they're focusing on their food, they're, like I said, very easily influenced by what people are telling them.
Yeah.
Vegetarian diets, vegan diets, keto, paleo diets, low carb, low fat, whatever it might be. And people, they absorb this information and they say, okay, I'm going to go be keto. And then they do keto for a month, 2 months, and they lose weight. And then, since it's not very healthy for you, they stop. And they gain all this weight back, and they just do this cycle of losing weight, gaining back, losing weight, gaining back. And the problem is people aren't very educated about what their body requires in order to be healthy.
But isn't that what bodybuilders do too? As in, they go through these phases of like, okay, for the next 3 weeks I will go for a 2,100 calorie diet, and then for the next 3 weeks afterwards I'll go on a bulk, which means that I'm going to take like 4,000 calories. Isn't that what they do? They periodically sort of change their diets every once in a while.
Yeah, but I think the difference with the bodybuilders, they're doing it for a reason. There's a purpose behind it.
Okay.
And there's a goal in sight.
And what's that?
It depends on who you talk to. For me, the bulk cycle for me would be, I want to put on as much muscle as I can over a 6-month period.
It's 6 months.
Well, it depends. Depends on the person. That's some people go on a bulk for 2 years, 2-3 years, where they're eating at surplus, but they're doing it in a way that they're mindful.
Okay.
The difference between mindful overconsumption of calories versus an unmindful consumption. The mindful consumption person who's lifting 6 days a week, consuming a surplus of calories, ensuring that they're getting their vitamins and their micronutrients, ensuring that they're reaching their micro goals. They'll put on muscle mass. They'll also put on some fat as well, but they'll be maintaining at least a healthy blood pressure, and they'll be maintaining healthy liver levels and healthy kidney levels if you take their blood.
Got it.
A unmindful consumption would be what you see with obese people, where they are eating at a surplus unknowingly, where they're eating a surplus of mostly processed foods, high in fat. You could say high in sodium, although I don't think there's anything that really states that sodium is causing anything obesity related, but an overconsumption of calories from processed foods that they're unmindful about. So I guess that would be the difference in the bodybuilder who's changing his diet, is they're looking to put on mass with muscle and fat, and then when they're purposely deficiting their calories, they're doing it to maintain their muscle mass while taking off body fat.
Okay. And while doing so, you're saying their blood indicators are good, their kidney indicators are good, all of their health indicators. So when you say sustainable and non-sustainable, right? So when it comes to noobs like myself, for example, when I start training, I look at it in terms of, okay, how do I look in the mirror? Am I satiated? Am I hungry? Because if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Do I feel good after a workout? Am I doing an activity? For example, I prefer to do something that's a swimming type activity as opposed to just plain cardio. Now, what are these indicators you look for when you say sustainable and non-sustainable? So can you give us like a few tangible things?
Sure. So I think sustainability in diet.
And I mean overall, not just diet, like bodybuilding as a whole.
Bodybuilding. Yeah. Okay. So I think a key note to take before I go into this is that a regular person's indicators are going to be very different than a bodybuilder's indicators.
Okay.
Because a regular person, a sustainable diet for a regular person who's just trying to be healthy would be what you talked about. Satiation, hunger, if they're thirsty or not, to drink water, stuff like that. Like they don't need to be, someone who's trying to be healthy should not really be tracking their calorie input. They should be going off those indicators, which can be skewed, which we can get into later if you like. But for bodybuilders, I think some key indicators that are tangible, tracking the macronutrients, tracking calories, and tracking micronutrients, whether that be by hand, in a MyFitnessPal type app, or even what I would do is I would structure my diet. I would do, let's say 3 days of diet, and I would sit down and I would carefully look at my protein, carbs, and fats. And then I would look at vitamin A, potassium, magnesium. And those three, especially potassium, magnesium, are pretty important electrolytes to have in the body. So I'd look at those and I would structure a 3-day diet that's different every day. And I would track protein, like those 6 I just talked about, total calories. And then I wouldn't have to track if I ate according to those days for the entire week, for the entire month. I would know exactly what I'm getting as long as I kept my measurements the same. So say the first day was 300 grams of rice with 6 ounces of chicken with, let's say, 200 grams of broccoli, right? I would track that meal out. I would track the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner of that day. And as long as day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I kept the measurements the same, I know exactly what I'm getting in those meals. I don't have to sit down and track them because I already know. So I did it once, and as long as I'm doing those meals the next couple of days, I know exactly what I'm getting out of that day of eating. So I don't have to sit on my phone and track these calories as long as everything is consistent.
I think that's once you reach a level of sort of just looking at stuff and be like, okay, that's good food right there. Or whatever. So you do this on a week by week basis, is it? You pretty much, this is your life, is it?
I would say I'm a little more relaxed right now. Okay. But and I think there is times where, especially if you're doing something for the love of it and you're not doing so, for me at least, I could see myself competing in a couple years. But right now with school, relationships, jobs, I think it's a little bit more important for my mental health to not do that right now. Okay. But when I do, which I have done in the past while in school, it was a week by week basis. And it was, I was tracking, like I said before, you track the single day of eating, and then you do what is called eat like a dog. Like you feed your dog the same kibble twice a day. Okay. I was eating the same meals every day. So you know exactly, but they're not like disgusting meals, right? Like they're good meals. Okay. But you get tired after a while, you do get tired of them. But then you just switch gears. After 6 weeks of eating the same stuff, you switch gears and you see what your body likes and what you can tolerate.
That makes sense. No, I see that. I think that's a very sustainable approach. And one other question. So these indicators that you have, right? What are the indicators you look out for? So let's say I give you this one kid who is sort of he's not using a natural approach to bodybuilding. Okay. Let's say, high schooler. So what are these things that you look out for and you say, okay, this guy's parameter X is not good enough? Like, what are you talking about?
So if you're talking blood panel?
Yep. Okay. Blood panel, everything basically.
So I'm not super educated on the blood panel work, but I do know that you want to look at testosterone and free test levels. Okay. Those are important, especially if you're taking what's called selectrogen androgen receptor modules or something like that. SARMs, what they call them, which would be the RAD 140, MK 667. I don't know the exact numbers on them, but what these hormones, they're not hormones, but they act as hormones in the body, and they can kill your testosterone levels, especially if you're a developing kid. So you want to look at that first. Okay. Especially if after like a 4 or 6 week cycle of something on that, you look at that, see what the body is reacting to it hormone wise. Because a lot of times it can kill your natural test levels, and then you have to get on what's called TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, for the rest of your life. So you can be 15 years old, take SARMs for 6 weeks, ruin your natural hormone response, and then have to take essentially steroids for the rest of your life just to be at natural levels.
And that's bad.
Which you don't want to do. But outside of that, you want to look at the kidneys and the liver and the heart. So blood pressure, cholesterol levels, because the cholesterol levels will tell you. A lot of times cholesterol and blood pressure go hand in hand. A high LDL level. Okay. LDLs are the cholesterol molecules that float into the heart. So a lot of times they can block up these arteries and create plaque, which increases your blood pressure. Got it. So you want to look at those two. Because if your heart's not beating,
not good.
Not good. And high blood pressure and that plaque can cause blood clots, which can give you heart attacks and strokes, which is why you see a lot of bodybuilders who took a lot of steroids in their younger age, especially now, because that research wasn't done back in the 80s and 90s. And now we're seeing the adverse effects today of blood clots and stuff like that, causing heart attacks and other issues. Kidney levels, you want to look at the creatinine and the BUN levels. I don't know exactly why. I think it's the way that the kidney processes protein. So any protein that is not synthesized by the body into the muscles passes through the kidneys, and an elevated creatinine and BUN level essentially means the kidney's working overtime to process those proteins. Okay. So you want to look at that, because then a lot of people who bodybuild and take exogenous hormones consume a lot of protein. So you want to check those out, make sure those are okay. And I don't know the liver indicators, but I'm sure when you do a blood panel and you do lipids and all that stuff, you don't want anything to be out of the normal range. And if they are, you should probably talk to your doctor and stop taking any exogenous hormones that you are taking.
So these are the things to look out for in sustainable bodybuilding. I like that because, see, I think, very pinpoint sort of criteria like that, right, helps a lot of folks who are just about starting their journeys in fitness and bodybuilding. Now, I had a question for you in terms of choosing a sport versus bodybuilding, because when you were in high school, you sort of chose bodybuilding at some point, right? So why? Why did you do that? Why did you consciously sort of decide to do bodybuilding as opposed to not football or something else? And how did you continue with that career as such, or that mindset as such, once you came to school here, Penn State?
Yes, great question. So like I hinted at earlier, I wasn't really playing a whole lot of sports. I was on teams, but I wasn't playing a whole lot. Okay. And being in these 6A schools, there's a lot of kids that want to play a lot of sports. So the competition's high, and if you're underdeveloped physically, you're not really going to make the cut. So I didn't make the cut, and I decided I could play football for 2 more years. And I could ride the bench and not play, and I could do these workouts and maybe get in better shape. But would I rather just do it myself and not have to worry about 6 a.m. workouts, 6 p.m. practices, games every week? It was kind of a simple answer for me. I took something off my plate that would take a lot of time and get me very little results, and I added something that took less time and would get me better results.
That was bodybuilding.
Okay. Yeah. So that's shifted gears from athletic sports to bodybuilding. And at first, it wasn't really bodybuilding. For me, it was I was chasing a dream physique image, right? Like I just wanted to be lean. I wanted to have big muscles, and I wanted to be strong. But I was very naive when I started. I didn't really know a whole lot about bodybuilding. I barely knew anything about powerlifting. and it was all kind of bro science for me. It was just like videos on YouTube or whatever, and and they were great resources to start out. Like, it's better than nothing, right? Like, better than nothing. But it was just, when I say arms and chest every day, it was, I remember a week where I did chest 4 days in a row.
Oh, wow.
That's not bodybuilding. That, you know what I mean? So after 2 years or so, after I got out of high school, I got into college, and I started learning more.
Okay.
And what I think is really cool that I might want to, like, interrupt myself and add is a lot of kids that are getting into lifting now are exposed to way more information about it than I was when I was their age.
Isn't it kind of bad? I feel like there's an overload in terms of information.
It's an overload, but it's also really important, I feel like, because and depending on what you see, you know, you can get, I mean, I see 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds that have been lifting for 3 years that look better than I do. But because they had that information to start, and they had good information, you know, they had the, and I mean, there's so much stuff floating around. I mean, you can essentially type in anything fitness related and find the correct answer for it, right? Like, everyone's got the right answer for everything, and everyone's wrong except that one person, right? Yeah. But I kind of wish that I knew, or I was exposed to that at that age, because I think that would have been really, really cool for me. But after 2 years, getting to college and started shifting gears a little bit, I had a couple of my roommates now. I show love to them. It kind of hurt at the time, but they call me a Dorito because I had a big back and I had these little tiny legs.
Oh, and this was consciously because you've been sort of going to the gym for like 2 years.
I was going to the gym and I was skipping legs, and they called me out on it. They're like, dude, you look like a Dorito. And I was like, damn. I was like, yeah, right though. And I was like, I'll do legs tomorrow. Ever since then, I've done legs at least twice a week. And I wish going back that I started doing legs earlier, because I still kind of have small legs, because when you start out, your body responds a lot quicker to stimulus when you start out versus when you're, 5 years in.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
But yeah.
Were they like bodybuilders?
No, they were just giving me shit.
That's naive.
No, but it's tough love, right? And without them, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I completely agree. Yeah, I think that's very important. I feel like when someone sort of in your inner circle sort of points out to these things, you gotta get your ass up, and you're like, okay, I need to do this. Yeah, I think that's very powerful stimulus. So you started doing this, and then did you have the BBF? And you were 2019. You started in 2019, right?
College, yeah.
So was BBF around?
It was around, but I wasn't in it yet because I didn't know about it.
Okay.
At that time, it was a smaller group. It was really just a couple buddies that wanted to get a club that they could bring in their other friends and like.
Couple of buddies. Wow, we are like 700 people now, right?
I know, yeah, it's crazy. It started out, it was like 20 people. I don't even think it was that. I think it was like the first group was like 10 guys. And since then it grew over the years. When I got into it, there was 30 people in it.
When did you get in?
I got in, let's see. I think it was the spring of my sophomore year.
Okay, 2020 spring. Okay.
I think so.
Got it.
Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, I started in Penn State in 2021, so I knew that BBF existed by the spring of 2021. Yeah. So I knew you had a really good presence, so you might just be right on the timelines.
Yeah, so I kind of entered it before the whole involvement. Before we did the involvement fair, the first round of the involvement fair, and when we were starting, when I got into it, they were just starting to do social media stuff. Okay. So they started getting on Instagram. I know that's how you found them, was through Instagram, right? And so I didn't know about it because I was not aware of it, but she found them through Instagram, and I think a couple people did too, but that was the fall of 2021 was the first involvement fair that they did. And I wasn't an executive yet. I was just kind of like hanging around because I knew Austin from the gym.
You guys went to the same gym, I'm guessing?
We did. Yeah, I knew him from there.
Right?
East Coast.
Oh, East Coast, sorry. Yeah.
And then I knew another member, his name was Nick.
Okay.
And Nick, junior year, he was the event director.
Okay.
So I was kind of hanging around that crowd a little bit junior year, and they did the involvement fair, and the chat blew up 450, 500 members from one involvement fair. Yeah, so when I say that there's a lot of kids now that know about fitness and bodybuilding, it's crazy. Like, there's a lot of people who have an interest for this kind of thing, and they're getting into it.
These are like pre-20 kids, right?
Yeah. That's I mean, you're talking, and you have involvement fair is typically more freshmen than anything, but yeah, I mean, some juniors coming in from the 2+2 stuff, if you're familiar with 2+2.
I am, yeah.
So yeah, 450 members on that. That was crazy. We went through the whole fall and did elections. I was elected VP and Austin was elected president. And we were like, all right, let's scrap this group. We'll make a new group me. Anyone who's in it who wants to continue can go to this new group me, and then we'll add in the new members to that group me.
Fair.
So we had, I think it was like 100 and 150 people come over to the new group me from the old one. Which is nice, but out of those 150 people, the amount of people who actually showed up was very minimal.
For the group lifts and things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So even then, the participation was pretty low. But a lot of people would still want to be in the chat. They just weren't really doing anything, which, more power to you. But made the new group me, and then by the end of the involvement fair, we had, I think, 700 members in it. I think at one point we hit 710 or something. It was crazy.
It's insane.
And at the start, we wanted to really push the club to be better than it was year previous, and I think in some ways we've definitely achieved that goal. We got 4 merch orders out this year. They did 1 last year.
And what's a merch order?
The merch order, so like the club merch. So she's actually wearing the hoodie that we just released.
Okay.
Which is licensed through Collegiate Pride. So shout out to them. But we had the first merch was what did we do for the first? The what?
China.
The what?
China.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, we did. We outsourced it, and we outsourced it for Thon fundraising.
Okay.
And it was a shirt, tank top, a sports bra, and a hat. And that one did really well. And it was white with navy on it. And then the second one we ended up doing was actually our Thon merch.
Okay. And that's not 2022.
2023.
Okay.
And we did a Mario theme, which was really, really cool.
Oh, wow.
It was light blue shirt with a Thon in these like Mario style colors with like little gold coins and stuff. It was really cool. And then our last 2 merch orders were through Collegiate Pride licensed stuff with the Penn State logo on it, so everyone knows that we're legit. And yeah, some really, really cool stuff from there. So at that point, we did really well. We had a lot more Thon engagement than we did last year.
Got it.
Which I was really happy about that. And I think we overall had more events, but we looking back, we kind of wish we were a little bit more active on that standpoint. But the really cool thing we did this year, and you brought it up earlier on our phone call, was the shows we did.
The show, yeah, correct. You guys had a bodybuilding competition.
We've had 2.
Yeah, 2 of those, and that's insane because, dude, you just start to realize how much Penn State has to offer. So I was actually looking for potential trainers for myself. I was just like, I'll get one of these coaches to like help me with everything. And then I'm like, I don't even have to look outside PBF. I can literally just hire, I can just be like, hey, Austin, can I hire you for like 3 months to help me with this? And then he would possibly be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because you guys have so much expertise in this shit. And tell me more about these bodybuilding competitions. It's insane, what you guys do.
Yeah, so it was really cool. I'm actually super happy about.
You sponsor that, right? Nordic Labs. So Nordic Labs is a company that Mattias here has co-founded.
Solo founded.
Okay. He sponsored the whole event, right? So tell me more about that. Yeah.
So what we did what I did as the sponsor was I introduced just prizes, and then I structured everything. So I took care of signups, I took care of scripts, I took care of the background PowerPoint, contacting competitors, making sure they were getting in. We actually had, I don't know if you know this, we had 3 competitors come from Pitt University out in Pittsburgh.
Correct. That's wait, you just contacted them and they were like, we'll come.
So Gary, his name is Gary.
Yeah.
He's the president over there, and he reached out to Austin about our last one we did for Thon. And that one was also sponsored, but I was a little more hands off. It was mainly just I was giving out prizes for it. But they saw that and they reached out to Austin through email or something, and they were like, "Yo, we'd want to let me know when the next one is, and we'll bring some people up." And we were like, "All right, cool." So he ended up contacting me because Austin wasn't able to show for it, and we had 3 people come out. The only 2 ladies that competed in the women's division were both from Pitt.
Oh, wow.
So Penn State ladies, step it up for competing in our shows.
We have one right here. Anna, you want to say hi to the camera?
Should I come around?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should come to the mic and say hi.
Come here.
Hello.
That's Anna right there. You're also part of BBAF, right?
I'm the merch chair. So I was the one that designed this sweatshirt that I'm wearing. And in this recent drop, we had this sweatshirt, a crew neck, and 2 t-shirts. All of them have done really well, surprisingly. We've raised almost each drop we've made $1,000.
What?
Yeah. And with
insane.
With the one that we outsourced, our profit was probably about almost $2,000.
Yeah, so. That was into our Thon donation.
Wow,
through
and all
ASA.
of that goes to ASA, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. And Anna here is also a bodybuilder, right? One of our sort of premier female bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
You can use that mic if you want.
It's on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just switched it on, yeah.
Should I put the headphones on?
Yeah, you should. Yep.
So I'm hoping to...
Closer if that's possible.
What?
You might have to push it a little closer.
Oh. So I'm hoping to compete in wellness, or I've had a couple friends say I should do physique. Because
what are these things?
So wellness, they mainly focus on your legs. Okay. The whole goal is to kind of have those bigger legs compared to your back.
Okay.
Or upper body. Figure, physique, it's kind of focused mainly on upper body. And then there's also bikini, which is kind of a proportional, kind of a skinnier physique. But I would like to do wellness, so I would have to bulk up more. But I'm hoping to compete in a couple years as well. Kind of like Mattias is.
Wow. And when did you start building? When did you start lifting?
I would say I kind of got serious about it just a couple years ago, kind of when I got to Penn State and I found out about the bodybuilding and fitness club. That's kind of when I decided that I would be interested in competing. Before I found out about them, I had no interest. I kind of just wanted to put on some muscle, look better for the beach, I guess. I think that's a lot of girls' goals in going to the gym.
I think that's a lot of people's goals as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think even guys, we tend to just be like, okay, you know what, we will just try to optimize the next big summer visit, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more than that. I think that's the whole sustainability point that he was making. So what do you think? I want to ask you this. You guys are obviously, do you guys cook together? Do you guys prepare your diet charts together?
Yeah.
I want to know all about this. This is super important information.
Okay. So I'm the cook, so I chef everything up, and I have my sous chef here.
Okay.
And we arrange the meals for the week, and then we know what we're gonna have the day before. So we're going to the store after this. Actually, we got a night. This is like a thing you guys do. You guys oh my god, I need to actually buy stuff that's 300 carbs worth of whatever. Sort of. I mean, we do the the rice, bags of rice, boxes of rice, and then so we get more ingredients than anything. Okay. And then I've gotten pretty good at eyeballing portions, so I know what 200-300 grams of rice looks like. I know what 6 ounces of chicken looks like. So when we prepare it, I grill all the chicken up for the week, put it in the fridge.
For the week?
Well, like I'd say maybe 4 days.
Wow.
'Cause after a week, it starts getting a little.
So
you don't want to eat
have
that.
8 meals. If you're doing it for 4 days, you pretty much have 8 meals like in one shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not. We don't like chop it up and put everything together and meal prep it all the way, because I still like having some freshness. So it'll be a lot of just like cook the meats. If we do the minute rice, so you just put it in the microwave for 5 minutes and it's ready. Like you don't have to worry about 20 minutes in a rice cooker or boiling or anything. So we do that day of. All the breakfast is done day of. That's typically pretty consistent.
Okay. What does a typical breakfast look like?
So we used to do chicken sandwiches. So that would be bagel, 2 eggs, turkey bacon, cheese. And then I would always have a bowl of oatmeal on the side.
Okay.
And she would have some toast.
Okay.
And or a yogurt.
Okay. And this is a thing, is it? So you plan your schedule to ensure this goes in. That is so difficult for me to understand, because my schedule is not really planned according to fitness. It's planned according to work, essentially what I do on a day-to-day basis. But you guys have full-time jobs and you guys have proper careers and things like that, and you guys are students as well, and you do this as well. So you get up in the morning and you're like, you know what, I'm going to cook breakfast, and you have it, and then you have 2 meals prepared and you take it to school and you have it in Penn State, is it?
Sort of. Yeah, so we do wake up, I'll go make breakfast for us, and then I'll take her to class. She's got class from 9 to 11. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So then I'll take her to class, and then usually I'll actually use that time to do cardio, because our goals right now are a little bit misaligned. I'm trying to cut down a little bit. She's trying to bulk up a little bit. Okay. So I make sure to find time where I can get my cardio in.
And you don't do cardio much, is it?
No, because my goal is to mainly bulk up. I haven't been very consistent with cardio. I was more last year when my goal was to cut just a little bit. But right now I've been kind of focusing on, since the summer, Mattias actually made me a meal plan, and I was measuring everything out. I was eating maybe 3,000,
3,200.
3,200 calories. And I was still hungry even after eating that. But kind of leading up to that, you kind of have to build up how many calories you're eating, because if you go from 2,000 calories a day to 3,200, then you're going to be stuffed and you're not going to want to eat that much. It's not possible. So kind of slowly increasing your calories, kind of what you guys were talking about earlier. And I was still hungry. I wanted to eat more, and I was bulking. But I was consistent for maybe a couple months, and Mattias was basically my coach during that. I know you kind of mentioned how you can reach out to anyone in the club. And I kind of used Mattias for that.
Is that how you guys met, or did you guys know each other before?
Yeah, we met through the club at the gym.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. And both of you sort of frequented the East Coast gym, is it, at that point?
When I met him, I went maybe every weekend with him.
Okay.
But we first met at the White Building gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's nice. And this is through, in some sense, with BBF, right?
Yeah.
Wow, shout out to BBF. BBF is doing much more than just bodybuilding. So that's nice. So you guys are you do this. You have this schedule that basically has you with 3,200 calories every day. What if you get bored? Because typically people get bored, right?
Yeah.
With this kind of food.
Yeah. A lot of the foods that I was eating over the summer, I will not eat anymore because I'm so sick of them.
Okay.
But I would just reach out to Mattias and he'd change it. And I'd kind of give him suggestions, what I'm feeling like. And he would accommodate that, give me some ideas. And then I would just go out, prep all the food. And I was also working a full-time job at the time, so I would bring 2 or 3 meals to work. And just keep them in the fridge in the back and go microwave them. So it's basically eating every couple hours.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And
you were saying, right? So you do this cardio thing till 11 a.m. and then you basically lift, is it, afterwards?
Sometimes. It kind of... So especially right now, both of our schedules are so messed up all the time. I feel like we never have any consistency nowadays. I'm working 2 jobs, so I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights as the retreat shuttle driver. Shout out the retreat. If you see me driving around downtown in the
retreat shuttle,
in the big
retreat.
blue,
oh,
that's me driving.
I live right next to that place.
Yeah, that's me driving that shuttle around.
Oh damn, okay.
And that's 10 to 3. Okay. 10 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Wow.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I work at Penn State golf course.
Okay.
For Sunday and Monday nights.
Wow.
Typically, well, sometimes Tuesdays, but not tonight. But then with the class schedules, it's like there's no just 9 to 5. Like, I feel like it's easier almost to do this, at least with my experience now. It's almost easier to do it if you have a 9 to 5 than if you're a student working jobs, because your schedule changes so much. You don't really have a consistency that's like you can count on, right? Like a 9 to 5, you know when you got to be at work and you know when you're going home.
Dude, but that's the thing. If you think you're not consistent, right, you should look at other people, because I feel like you guys are like insanely consistent. Being bodybuilders and things like that. Like, dude, you guys hit the gym like 2 times a day?
Not anymore. I do cardio in the morning, and then we'll go lift. Typically, this is where it depends, because like sometimes we have stuff going on Tuesday nights. We have to lift after her 9 a.m. on Tuesdays.
Oh, you lift together?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
So sometimes it's an 11 a.m. lift, 11 to 12:30. Some days, like tonight, it's gonna be a 6:30 lift. So it's like, it just depends.
Oh, you plan this out in the day. You block this time out.
Yeah, she's got it in her Google Calendar, like when we're going to the gym throughout the week.
And both of you sort of respect it, right?
Yeah.
This is very nice. This is very productive. So that's how it should be, right? You should be building this regimen. Okay. And right after that, you guys do dinner, and that's about it for the day.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very cool. I had a question with how Nordic Labs sort of fits into all of this. Are you a part of Nordic Labs as well?
Yeah, I'm one of his athletes. I mean, I'm kind of just one because I'm his girlfriend.
Are you the model?
No, I actually don't have any posts on there.
Okay.
But code Anna. So I'm one of the couple athletes he has.
Yeah, I have let's see, Austin's one of my athletes. I don't know if y'all talked about that. His girlfriend Lila. Nate, who's the director of events for Penn State bodybuilding and fitness, he's an athlete. Matt Martino, who was graduated last year, also a member of BBIF. He's an athlete. One of my friends down in Texas is an athlete, Jackson Rain. Anna Schluter is an athlete, and then Riley Hammond, who is a member of Penn State Bodybuilding and Fitness Club. He's also an athlete. So Nordic Labs for me started out as a project.
Okay. Yes, Sam. I read your blog post. Very interesting story.
Yeah. That was it was so funny you say that, because when I was building this website, I was actually working at an insurance agency as an intern. And
some of the language got spilled over, is it?
maybe a little bit, but they had some work for me to do. Okay. But I was always pretty efficient there, so
basically you did nothing.
2 or 3 o'clock would come by, and twiddle my thumbs, and I would ask, "Hey, is there anything I can do?" And they're like, "No, well, no."
Isn't that how internships anyway work? Like nobody has any work to do.
Sometimes I think internships are more about showing an employer that you've been in a professional setting before, and you know how to act professionally, you know how to communicate professionally, and you respect respect superiors. It's not like, do you know how to run an insurance audit, because you don't have interns doing that anyways. They're getting coffees and opening mail and stuff. Yep. But sorry, I got on a tangent there. So Nordic Labs started, I was making this website, and one of the sales guys, I think it was Philip, he goes, I don't like when websites do this blog thing, because if they're not up to date on it, then it kind of looks like they're not really working on their website. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, but I'm going to do it like every month. I have one blog post.
Is that when it started, July 2021 or something like that?
Sort of. So,
oh my God.
This is, I'll give you the full story on it.
Yes,
so,
I want to know.
March of 2021, I was at GNC, and I was picking up pre-workout, and there was literally nothing on the shelf that I liked, and I was out, so I needed to get something. I was like, man, I gotta get something. So I picked up, I don't even remember what it was, but I'm like taking it, and it's not anything special, but I'm like, man, I spent $45 on this thing and I don't like it. And it was the best one in the whole store that I could find. I was like, God damn, like this industry sucks. Like it's all just how can you look really cool and how can you get in a store and then people will buy your stuff, right? And I was like, okay, this sucks.
What?
That's what the supplement industry to me looked like, was
insane. Okay.
How do you market your supplements and how can you get it into like a GNC or vitamin shop in mass quantities where they'll sell it for you? And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I was sick of buying it. Like, I was sick of buying pre-workout that would last me 2 weeks and do minimal effect on me. And I don't know if that's just because I was a little caffeine addict at the time. I mean, it could be, but a lot of these formulas, I don't just think are formulated very poorly. So March 2021, after I get out of the GNC, I go home and I was like, I'm gonna finish this can, but in the meantime, because a few years back, my dad had introduced me into bulk supplements.
Okay.
Bulk supplements is a website where, as a consumer, you can buy supplements in bulk, right? Yeah. In the name. The minimum order you can get with them is a half kilo. Okay. So you're not like buying, a whole crate of it, but a bag about this big. So you can buy creatine on there for like $40 for a big bag. So okay. If you're looking for creatine bulk subs, it's a plug, unsponsored plug right there. But I ended up making this formula and I sent it to a bunch of my friends.
What is the formula? So it's basically creatine plus a few other things, is it?
Yeah, so it's let's see if I can do this off the rip. I have 6,000 milligrams L-citrulline, 4,000 milligrams of beta-alanine, 250 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous, 150 milligrams of dicaffeine malate. I have 2,000 milligrams of L-tyrosine, which is my favorite ingredient in there. And the reason that I like L-tyrosine is it is a, what do they call it? I don't remember the name for it, but essentially it makes your neural pathways fire faster. Okay. If that makes sense. Okay. And it makes you very focused. Okay. So it's like, it's kind of lasers you in. Okay. And a lot of pre-workouts are missing that. They're just like energy and, itching in your pump or whatever. So L-tyrosine, 2,000 milligrams of that. 750 milligrams of agmatine sulfate, which is which helps with your pump as well. 2,000 milligrams of AAKG, which is also a pump ingredient. Okay. 100 milligrams of taurine, and then 2.5 grams of creatine.
You do realize someone's actually going to steal this, right?
They can. It's all on the label. You can steal it if you want. I mean, I'm looking at trying to mass sell everything else I have because it's not moving like I like it to. But if you take it, you'll understand quickly what I was trying to do with it. And when I was making it the first time, I went and I ordered all this stuff on bulk supplements, and I did the math on it so I could make like 10 cans and have none left over of these bulk supplements. And it was $400 to make the first round. I sold them for $40 in these little Amazon cans that my mom gifted me. And
this was in Texas, is it?
No, this was here. Okay. This was here in State College in my apartment. I had a blender and a food scale. Oh wow! And I was measuring out and making this super chalky, unflavored pre-workout. And I went to the gym with Nick. I was telling you about Nick Whitman, and we went out to Nittany Barbell, which is a powerlifting gym out in where's that, out in Bellefonte or something like that. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not in Bellefonte, but I remember taking it for the first time, and my flavoring was the emergency packets. Those little orange flavors, vitamin C packets.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was my flavoring, and I remember taking it, and I was like, "This is disgusting. Like, this tastes horrible." And then 10 minutes later, though, I was wired, and I was focused, and I was like pumped, and I was like, "Man, I need to make this."
Wow! And like, does it still taste that bad?
No, it's probably one of the best tasting supplements on the market. Wow. Okay. I would say.
So shout out to Nordic Labs. This is a very cool initiative. So you sort of decided to mix up these ingredients and create a new pre-workout that nobody sort of used before.
Yeah, so it's none of the ingredients in there are patent. Well, there are some patent ingredients, but not mine.
Okay.
None of it's me saying this is a new special sauce. It's just think of like a Michelin restaurant, right? They're not using any different ingredients.
Fair.
Right?
Yep.
They're just making it differently.
Yeah.
They're doing this with the sauce, they're doing this with the meat, and they're providing a better product than, say, the Italian restaurant down the street is. But it's the same, essentially the same meat, the same pasta, whatever.
Yes, that makes sense.
So that's the same with this pre-workout. You know, the creatine in there isn't anything special. The caffeine isn't anything special. But the way it's dosed and the way it's kind of put together, you're going to get a different result than you would something down the street.
Fair.
And, you know, like anything, some people like it and some people prefer something else, and that's fine. But I made this formula for myself.
And it worked for you.
And it worked for me. And I know that, I mean, as much as I like to think it, I'm not too special. So I knew if I liked it, then a lot of other people would like it. I made that first round. I sold that first round to some buddies.
Got it.
I ended up making my initial $400 back off of that first round. And I decided, okay, I got at least 10 people that like it. So
might as well
go for it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's maybe not great market research right there, but decided, you know, if I was going to try it, I might as well do it now. And at the beginning, I was actually working with another person, but I just was not working out as I liked it to. So I didn't cut ties, but they didn't front any equity or any capital, so they don't have any share in the company.
Okay.
And all the work I did after March was all me. So yeah. July.
Do you have funders?
My dad and I kind of tag teamed it. He gave me a loan out that I've been paying back over time.
And you've been making profits with this, right?
Sort of. So I made a huge mistake in the beginning. So anyone who wants to start a supplement company, don't use that formula because I'll come for you. But I chose a supplier that I'm not mad about the supplements I got out of it because I think they're really high quality. The flavoring is great. Everything's worked out perfect with that. But I chose them at the time because they did what's called third-party fulfillment. So they had a warehouse across the street that they owned, and they would hold your supplements for you. And then every time you get an order through Shopify, it would reroute from my Shopify over to them. They would then package it and ship it.
And mix all the ingredients as well.
Well, it was already, everything's already mixed up. So,
okay. And who does the mixing? You don't do the mixing?
No. So I'm working with a supplier I worked with. I probably won't continue just because of costs and everything that it's incurred since COVID. But NutriCap USA down in Georgia, they were my supplier for my first round.
Okay.
And they were also my designer of the label and everything. So this logo, I created a logo
on team and stuff.
On one of those free logo designer websites. So I did the logo and I went to them and I said, hey, I have this idea of let's do like a stoic Nordic kind of background with like this out front in front of it. And then they kind of presented the current label that you see now.
Okay.
And so that was that process. That was all in-house with this supplier. So there's a big reason I went with them. They did label design. They did the manufacturing of everything. So they canned it all up. They made it look all nice and pretty. And then they would hold it for me and sell it from their warehouse.
Okay.
But the kicker was every unit I had to sell, it was $150 a month if I sold 0 to 30 units. If I sold 31 to 199, it was not $100. Anything over 199 units sold in a month, it was free.
Oh.
So I was like, wow, that's nice.
So you basically aim to sell anything above 199.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which at the time I was like, okay, let's think about it. That's like, 7 a day. Like maybe I could do that. Nope. Cannot do that. And I got killed from the warehouse fees. It was $150 a month, and I didn't incur them until I'd already been in there for months at a time. So I had I wasn't gonna bring any, I'm not gonna like sue them or anything because they just didn't send the invoices yet, but they sent all the invoices pretty much at once. And I had like $1,000 of outstanding warehouse fees. I was like, fuck. That was all the money I had made up until then. I had to get back to the warehouse.
And that's pretty much for nothing because you're not really storing it anymore there.
Yeah. So I mean, everything I sold, that all my customers got their stuff and they're super happy about it. They went and bought more, and I'm obviously very pleased that those people like it, and a lot of those people still come back and buy it, which I really appreciate. And
so you do have a loyal following at this
I would
point.
say
it's a proper brand now.
I would say, and it's very niche. People who know about it, they love it, and I have a handful of customers that will come back and buy it every month, and they know who they are, and I know who they are, by name, and I love those guys, and they really they make me want to keep doing it because they're showing love to the brand, and even she's like, I don't want you to stop making these supplements because I like them. Like, I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing because it really is. People really like the stuff. So that's what really sucks being a small business, is that you have people that are like counting on you, and sometimes you just the numbers aren't floating your way, and you got to figure it out and figure out a way to make it work, because
it sounds non-trivial, but it's not. It's super important because you do have a loyal following, right? You don't want to just leave them out there.
No,
that's very cool. And you created this market niche for yourself, right? It's not like it was there before. This is a new workout, a pre-workout that you just decided to design. I want to hear your testimonial on this, Anna. What do you think of? So you've been using pre-workout for some time, right?
Yeah.
And prior to this, what is it called? The pre-workout?
Barbaric.
Barbaric, yeah.
Barbaric.
So before Barbaric, you had other pre-workouts as well that you used, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I think I just used Lit, which is a GNC. I mean, I tried a couple and I could never find one that I really liked. And the first time Mattias let me try his, I hadn't even bought one yet, but he let me try both flavors. My favorite is blueberry lemonade. I don't know if he mentioned he has two flavors, blueberry lemonade and watermelon.
Okay.
Blueberry is my favorite, but when I tried it, I need to clear my throat.
No, you're good.
The focus was just crazy. It's nothing I've ever experienced in a pre-workout.
Do you have your water? Okay.
Probably. It's nothing I've ever experienced, and it wasn't like a crazy itch like you get from other pre-workouts. I feel like they really upped the dosage on that, so it feels like it's doing something, but it really wasn't. It wasn't providing the focus kind of like Mattias is doing. And I don't know if he mentioned he also has it in a store in Texas, and I kind of want him to do another kind of round of them, because he could get them. He's moving up to Boston, and there are a couple stores up there that I think it would be really successful in, including the gym that we go to up there.
Yeah. Dude, that's insane. Why don't you just sell it to GNC? Why don't you sell your products to GNC?
So GNC, they are they're like franchises. So the possibility is there. I could go to the franchise owner and be like, hey, I want to, sell you my supplements at wholesale. And what they would probably say is, let's see what corporate thinks. And they would go and say like, hey, whatever, are you cool with me selling this here? Because if you get it in one store, a lot of times you got to have it available on website, available on store. You got to have it available at stores in the area. Yeah. So you're starting to talk about hundreds of units that I don't have yet. And if I don't have the sales contract, if I went to them and I said, hey, I have this pre-workout, I can get you 5,000 units of it. I just need you to front me half of the wholesale. Maybe they'd say yes, but they'd probably say, okay, we need these. We're going to sell them at 50. We need you to we'll wholesale them at 25. And anything that the wholesale from, whatever your at cost is, you can keep that. But I'd probably produce the units at $20.
I see.
So the profit for me would, and thinking about it, it would be like 20%, which isn't very sustainable margin. But GNC would make a lot of money off of it if they sold it. But it's also not a brand that, if I were to do that, so here's a couple things. I'm going on a tangent, but let me try to focus up here. So say I went to GNC or Vitamin Shop or something. I don't have to have the units to sell them the units quite yet. if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So it's kind of like if you've ever are you familiar with short selling on stocks?
Yeah.
So you borrow stocks from your broker and you sell them to someone else. After 3 months, you then buy them and give them back to the broker.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of like that. I would say, hey, GNC, I got 5,000 units, not in inventory, but I can get them. What kind of quote do you want? And then they would say, well, let's check out your social media presence. Let's look at your brand.
And you do have one.
And I do, but they're not gonna say, hey, yeah, we'll front you $100 grand, and you have 150 followers and you got like 30 little customers. You know, they're gonna want to see some real solid work being done. So if I were to do that route, which is possible, I would probably have to structure a team around me. I'd have to get someone to run socials. I had to get someone to run branding, have someone looking out for, you know, events, trying to get into bodybuilding expos, try to get into supplement expos. I probably have to get an accountant. I already have an LLC, so
perfect.
I could just structure it under that if I wanted to.
A lawyer as well.
Yeah, I'd probably have to get an attorney. But, you know, so it's definitely something that, with some thought and some effort, could it grow crazy? Probably. But it would be a lot of work. It would be a full-time job. And I'm going to be working up in Boston as a commercial real estate agent. So being able to do my own business. Yeah. I'm opening essentially my own business doing real estate. So it would be working 2 full-time jobs at the time.
Oh, you're opening your own business for real estate.
So So I'm going to be working for Marcus Millichap up in Boston. Marcus Millichap is the number 4 broker in the country, size-wise, of agents. And essentially how it works, any real estate agent is essentially their own business. So they work, unless they're getting salary, but they probably aren't. They work as what's called a 1099 employee. So you're an independent contractor for the firm.
That one, yeah.
And so you're building your reputation and your brand for yourself, but you have the name Marcus Millichap or whoever you're working for with you to kind of, you know, push you along, you know, have a reputation for yourself off the rip that Marcus Millichap trusts this guy, so I can trust him is kind of the idea. But you're building your own business, and it takes a lot of time and effort, especially starting out, to reach out, build a good network, and get those sales. So trying to do that, and then trying to, if I wanted to operate Nordic Labs at a wholesale level,
that's not going to be easy.
Be a lot of work.
Unless you have a team, and your company also has to sort of allow you to do it, right? I'm not sure if they have contractual obligations.
So the way I operate the athlete contracts is it's really nothing crazy. I don't put a lot of stuff in there because I don't want to have to do anything illegal. They're not going to want to do anything illegal. So it's essentially like, for a 6-month period, you won't like advertise other supplements, and I'll give you a commission based on sales used with your code, and that's pretty much it. Like, just don't go sell like C4 while you're trying to sell my stuff, and we're good. And that's pretty much it with that contract. So I'm sure for them, if I did wholesale, it would probably help them out too, because a bigger name that they're sponsored by would help them out. And there's a lot of options, and I've done a lot of thinking about it with Nordic Labs. Is you could either, and my business law professor said something that really stuck with me, and he goes, you can either be really small and be successful, or you can be really big and be successful. Don't be in the middle. Don't be in the middle. And I've stuck myself right in the middle, because when I was really small and I was doing it with a blender, I mean, I sold everything I had. Right? I sold everything I had. And now I'm in the middle. Now I'm in the middle, and I'm selling more than I did before, but I'm still taking losses because of I guess not anymore, because the sunk cost is already gone. So
got it.
But I'm right in the middle. So if I wanted to, I could take a jump, get big and be successful, or I could shrink back down, sell out all my stuff, and shorten my operations to like 50 units.
Dude, this is insane.
You see what I mean?
I do. I mean, I think you're going to find your path no matter what. It's just going to be a matter of more people sort of stepping into your bodybuilding niche and having like pre-workout all of a sudden. Dude, but this is insane. I really hope Nordic Lab reaches where it's supposed to be, dude. And I think this was great, man. This was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for being on the Karthik Gurunathan show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, yeah.